My beloved child, stop for a moment, because something about your soulmate changed the instant they discovered what you had been carrying alone. They thought they knew your story. They thought they understood your silence, your distance, and those moments when you suddenly became quiet. But then they learned one detail you never expected them to discover, and their entire expression changed. They became deeply emotional because they finally understood that while everyone saw you moving forward, you were quietly fighting battles nobody knew about. Don't skip, because the next part is where this becomes even more personal. Something huge is waiting for you, and the most surprising thing is that your soulmate didn't become emotional because they felt sorry for you. They became emotional because they realized how strong you had been without asking anyone to rescue you. There was a moment when they replayed certain memories of you in their mind. The times you said, "I'm fine." The times you smiled when something inside you felt completely different. The times you disappeared for a while and returned as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, those moments made sense. And according to the story unfolding around this connection, your soulmate realized something that hit them deeply: you had been protecting other people from the truth of what you were experiencing. You carried your own feelings quietly so nobody else would have to carry them with you. Stay till the end, because this is not simply about what you went through. It is about what your soulmate now wants to do after finally understanding it. They are looking at you differently now. Not with pity. With admiration. With a level of emotional respect they may never have expressed before. And here is the part you were never supposed to overlook. Your soulmate may have realized that some of your strongest qualities were created during the moments when you felt completely alone. Your patience. Your compassion. Your ability to keep going. Your ability to forgive without making a public announcement about everything you had endured. Something inside them shifted when they understood that the person they cared about had been silently becoming stronger while they were unaware. They may even be wondering how many times you needed someone and chose to remain silent instead. Don't skip now. Because the next revelation is about the one thing they wish they could change about the past, and why learning your hidden struggle may have awakened feelings they can no longer keep buried. What happened next was something your soulmate never expected to feel so intensely. They started asking themselves questions they had avoided for a long time. How many times had you needed comfort but stayed silent? How many moments had you smiled just to make everyone else comfortable? And how many times had they mistaken your silence for strength without realizing that even the strongest person sometimes wishes someone would simply notice? Don't skip, because this is where their emotions become impossible to ignore. They began connecting little pieces of your past, and suddenly the person they thought they knew became even more extraordinary in their eyes. They realized you were not distant because you didn't care. You were careful because you had learned how much it could hurt to trust the wrong people. Stay till the end, because the realization that followed may explain why their behavior toward you feels different now. Then came the moment that changed everything emotionally. Your soulmate imagined what it would have been like if they had been beside you during those difficult moments. They imagined sitting next to you when you felt alone, listening without judging, reminding you that you didn't have to pretend everything was perfect. That thought affected them more than they expected. Something huge is waiting for you in this story, because they didn't simply feel emotional about your past. they started feeling a powerful desire to become someone you could finally feel safe being completely honest with. And that is why they may now be watching your words more carefully, noticing the smallest changes in your expression, and wondering what you still haven't told them. They are beginning to understand that there are chapters of your life you never explained because you didn't want attention, sympathy, or applause. You simply wanted to survive the moment and keep moving forward. But here is the revelation that makes this connection so powerful. Your soulmate may have realized that the person they are drawn to today was shaped by everything you endured yesterday. The softness they see in you exists alongside a strength they never fully understood. And instead of making them pull away, your hidden struggles may have made their feelings deeper. They are beginning to see you as someone whose heart remained kind even after having countless reasons to become closed off. That realization can change the way someone loves you. Suddenly, ordinary conversations feel important. Your silence feels meaningful. Your presence feels rare. And they may be reaching a point where they no longer want to simply know your happy moments, they want to understand the parts of your story you never felt comfortable sharing. Don't skip, because the next part reveals the one question your soulmate may be carrying in their heart right now: why did you ever feel like you had to go through all of that alone? There is one thought your soulmate cannot seem to escape now. Why didn't you tell me? Not because they are blaming you, but because they are realizing how much you were carrying while they were looking at only the surface. They remember your quiet moments differently now. A simple "I'm okay" suddenly sounds completely different. A smile that once seemed ordinary now feels like evidence of how much you were trying to hold together. And this is where their emotions become even deeper, because they are beginning to understand that you were never asking the world to notice your struggles. You simply kept moving forward. Stay till the end, because there is another realization coming, one that could completely change the way your soulmate sees the connection between you. Then something unexpected happened inside their heart. Instead of focusing on everything you went through, they started thinking about everything you still managed to become. They realized that your kindness survived moments that could have made you cold. Your hope survived disappointment. Your ability to care survived being misunderstood. And suddenly, your soulmate saw something they had never fully appreciated before: you were not simply someone they felt connected to, you were someone they deeply respected. That distinction matters. Feelings can come and go, but respect creates something much stronger. Don't skip, because this is the moment when their emotions begin turning into a decision. They may no longer want to stand at a distance, wondering about your story. They may want to finally become part of the chapter where you no longer have to carry everything by yourself. And here is the once-in-a-lifetime realization they may have reached: they wish they could go back to certain moments. Not to change who you became, but to make sure you never felt unseen. They imagine finding you during those quiet moments and simply saying, "You don't have to explain everything. I'm here." That thought alone can bring powerful emotion to someone who finally understands your journey. Your soulmate may now be realizing that the strongest version of you was built in silence, but the next version of you does not have to be. Something huge is waiting for you, because the story is no longer only about what you endured alone. It is about what happens when the person who finally understands your pain decides they do not want you to feel alone again. And the next revelation goes even deeper than that. Something shifted in the way your soulmate remembers you, because they are no longer looking at your past through the same eyes. Every little detail seems to carry a different meaning now. The quiet replies. The moments when you pulled back. The times you seemed perfectly fine even when something was clearly weighing on you. They are realizing that perhaps you were protecting your heart without ever announcing it. And that realization has made them deeply emotional, because they understand that while they were trying to figure you out, you were simply trying to keep yourself together. Don't skip, because the next moment reveals why this discovery may have changed what they want from this connection completely. Something huge is waiting for you, and it begins with a thought they may have never admitted before. Your soulmate may now be thinking about the kind of love you actually deserve. Not the kind that only appears when everything is easy, but the kind that notices when your voice becomes quieter, when your energy changes, when you stop asking for anything because you have become used to handling everything yourself. That is what touched them most. They realized you never needed someone to feel sorry for you. You needed someone who could understand you without forcing you to explain every hidden emotion. Stay till the end, because this realization may be the reason their feelings have become more serious. They are beginning to understand that loving someone like you means paying attention to the things you do not say. It means recognizing that sometimes your silence is not rejection. Sometimes it is simply the language of someone who has learned to process everything privately. And now comes the part that may surprise you most. Your soulmate is not only emotional about what happened to you. They are emotional about the possibility that you still question whether someone could truly stay once they saw every side of you. They may sense that somewhere inside, you still wonder whether your complicated moments, your quiet days, and your hidden struggles would ever be too much for someone. But their perspective is changing. They are beginning to see those parts of you as reasons to understand you more deeply, not reasons to walk away. Don't skip now, because the next revelation is about the one thing they may finally be ready to prove, not through dramatic words, but through an action that could tell you everything their heart has been struggling to say. The silence between you may not mean what you think it means, because your soulmate has been processing something far deeper than words. They may have reached a point where simply thinking about what you endured makes them pause and reconsider every moment they once misunderstood. The biggest realization is this: they are beginning to understand that your strength was never an invitation to leave you alone. You were strong because you had no choice but to keep going. And now, knowing that, they may feel an entirely different kind of emotion, a quiet determination to show you that you do not always have to be the one holding everything together. Stay till the end, because the next moment reveals what they may secretly wish they could say if they had the courage to open their heart completely. Imagine them finally sitting across from you, without distractions, without pretending, without hiding behind casual conversation. They look at you and say, "I understand now." Not because they know every detail, but because they finally recognize the weight behind the person you became. They may want you to know that they noticed your resilience long before they understood its origin. They noticed how you kept giving, even when you had very little energy left to give. They noticed how you continued caring, even when you had reasons to become distant. And that realization has made your soulmate emotional in a way they cannot easily explain. Something huge is waiting for you, because their feelings are no longer centered only on what they want from you. They are beginning to think about what they can give you: patience, understanding, consistency, and the freedom to be completely yourself. But the most powerful part has not happened yet. Your soulmate may have realized that they were looking for signs of whether you cared, while you were quietly looking for signs that you could trust them. That changes everything. Suddenly, old conversations seem different. Small misunderstandings seem less important. Moments of distance seem easier to understand. And somewhere in their heart, a new question is forming: what if this connection was never meant to be rushed? They may now believe that what you went through alone taught you to move carefully, and instead of demanding that you open your heart faster, they may be preparing to show you why opening it again could feel different this time. Don't skip, because the final revelation is getting closer, and it may explain why your soulmate became emotional after learning the truth about your journey in the first place. There is a reason this realization has stayed with your soulmate longer than they expected. They did not simply hear about what you went through, they finally understood the person standing behind the smile. And that changed something inside them. They began wondering how many times you chose silence because you did not want to become a burden. How many times you needed someone to ask, "Are you really okay?" and nobody asked the right way. That thought can make even a guarded heart become emotional. Stay till the end, because this is where your soulmate's feelings begin turning into something much more intentional. They are no longer only thinking about your past. They are thinking about how they want to treat you from this point forward. They may have realized that you never needed grand promises. You needed consistency. You needed someone who would notice when your energy changed and stay patient instead of making assumptions. You needed someone who could listen without immediately trying to fix everything. And perhaps that is what your soulmate now understands better than ever. They may be replaying moments where you gave them more understanding than you received, and that realization could be weighing heavily on their heart. Something huge is waiting for you, because they may finally be recognizing the difference between simply having feelings for someone and genuinely understanding their heart. Your soulmate may want to show you that they see the strength beneath your softness, the history behind your silence, and the reasons you learned to protect yourself. But here is the deepest part: your soulmate may now understand that the greatest thing you survived was not one single moment, it was the feeling of having to handle everything without knowing who would truly stay. And that realization could explain why they became so emotional. They are imagining a different future, one where you do not have to hide your difficult days, pretend to have all the answers, or carry every emotion by yourself. They may want to become the person who notices without being asked. The person who listens without judgment. The person who reminds you that being strong does not mean you must always be alone. Don't skip, because the story is reaching its emotional turning point. The question is no longer whether your soulmate understands what you went through. The question is what they are finally prepared to do with that understanding. The answer may be closer than you realize, because your soulmate's emotions have reached a point where silence feels different. They may have spent so much time trying to understand what you felt, what you needed, and why you sometimes pulled away, but now they are beginning to understand the simplest truth. You deserve to be seen without having to explain every scar in your story. That realization can change everything. They may be looking back at your connection and recognizing moments where they could have listened more carefully, stayed a little longer, or asked one more question instead of accepting your "I'm fine." Stay till the end, because the most meaningful realization is still ahead. Your soulmate may now want you to know that your past does not make you difficult to love. It makes your heart understandable. The patience you developed, the empathy you show, and the quiet strength people notice in you did not appear by accident. They came from everything you experienced and everything you learned while moving forward. And perhaps that is what touched your soulmate the most. They discovered that despite everything, you still chose kindness. You still cared. You still hoped. Something huge is waiting for you because they may now be seeing your entire journey differently, not as a collection of painful moments, but as the story of someone who kept their heart open when closing it would have been easier. And now comes the moment that could stay with them for a very long time. They may be realizing that if they ever get another chance to stand beside you, they do not want to simply tell you that they understand. They want their actions to make you feel understood. They want you to feel comfortable having quiet days. They want you to know that you do not need to perform happiness around them. And they may finally be ready to say the words they have been holding back: you should never have had to carry all of that alone. Don't skip, because those words are only the beginning. The final part reveals the emotional truth your soulmate may have discovered about you, and why learning your hidden journey could have changed their feelings forever.